The siege at Ruby Ridge divided a mountain.
It's gonna be you one day, son of a bitch!
A town.
Want some of this? I'll kick your fat ass.
And the nation.
The rules of engagement adopted for Ruby Ridge were so poorly worded.
The Weaver family, holed up in their northern Idaho cabin, felt like they were being picked off one by one.
We couldn't see who it was that was doing the shooting.
3 dead. 2 wounded. 11 horrific days. Then it was over.
I didn't see him again after that.
Sara Weaver is one of the few survivors from that atrocious ordeal. She says what she witnessed and what she lost in those long 11 days will be with her forever. This is her personal account of the events at Ruby Ridge. Former Green Beret Randy Weaver and his wife Vicki started their young family in Cedar Hills, Iowa, but longed to homeschool their children and live off the grid. So the Weavers purchased 20 acres of undeveloped land in Ruby Ridge, Idaho, and together the family built their new home. The cabin had no running water or electricity.
There was no, demands on you other than your own daily survival.
Sara says a few years later, her dad met a new friend who invited him to a local camp meeting.
So these meetings were what? White supremacist meetings?
Yeah, it was actually an Aryan Nations camp, and it was introduced to my dad by an undercover snitch. My dad didn't know at the time that this guy was working for the feds. He just thought he was one of his friends, and so he went.
Was your dad ever a member of the Aryan Nation?
No, he never joined.
Allegedly, the informant, knowing Randy was in need of money, told him he would pay a lot of money for him to saw off the barrel of a shotgun.
And so Dad was like, wow, you just want me to saw the barrel off of it and you'll pay me that? Well, okay. Had he gotten a permit, it would have been a legal thing. The undercover agents had my dad on tape saying that he would do that. So basically they had him.
According to Sara, the feds then said they would make it all go away if he came to work with them, infiltrating the supremacist groups.
My dad, who has no respect for what you would call a snitch, told them where they could go, and it wasn't a nice place.
Sara believes because her dad wouldn't help the feds, egos got involved, and a certain agenda to get Randy Weaver was set in motion. Randy Weaver was arrested and put in jail. He posted bond, and back up the mountain they went.
He's given a court appearance, but something doesn't add up.
The court date was in February. They had sent him a letter saying it was the end of March. So when he failed to appear at that February court date, there was a warrant issued. He decided, and Mom decided, we'll just stay here and maybe somebody somewhere will help us figure this thing out. And unfortunately, that didn't happen.
They didn't come down from the mountain for 18 months. During that time, Vicki got pregnant and Randy delivered their daughter, Elishaba. Then just 10 months later, the once idyllic mountain retreat would become a fortress where the Weavers and family friend Kevin Harris would defend themselves against an attack of epic proportions.
Friday, August 21st, 1992. Started out like just another ordinary day.
No, our dogs started to really bark in a way that there was something out there. I remember Dad and Kevin and Sam wanting to go investigate, and then I hear a gunshot, and that made me jump, and I was beating myself up for not going with my little brother.
Out in the woods, Randy, Sam, and Kevin had split up.
Do you hear anyone yell, scream?
Yeah,
cry?
I heard more gunshots, and then I heard my dad yelling, Sam, Kevin, get home.
When Randy came up the driveway,
my dad was very distraught. I remember asking what happened. He wasn't sure yet what had happened. He said he had run into someone in camouflage. They had said, freeze Randy. He told them, basically, you," and turned around and walked away from them. He had heard Sam say, "I'm coming, Dad," so he assumed that Sam was on his way.
But tragically, only one of the boys would return.
Did Sam ever make it back?
No. Kevin came back and he was crying and he said Sam's dead, and I didn't want to believe it. My life fell apart.
Sara remembers they took 14-year-old Sam to the shed, cleaned him off, and wrapped him in a sheet.
I remember my dad coming back from doing that and just seeing, blood all over his pants like he had done in the past when he butchered a deer. That wasn't deer blood, that was my brother.
Sam had been shot in the elbow and the back, but they still had no idea who pulled the trigger. Little did the Weavers know it would be the beginning of an 11-day standoff, one that would leave a trail of destruction from the mountain all the way to Washington, D.C.
We didn't think it could get worse, but it did.
Coming up,
They weren't negotiating, they were just shooting.
it was a mountaintop massacre. Who would make it out alive?
And everyone around me was just dropping.